Once upon a quiet twilight, just as the stars began to yawn and blink awake in the sky, there was a forest nestled deep in the heart of a forgotten valley. It was called Whisperwood, a place where the trees hummed lullabies and the wind spoke in soft, sleepy tones. In Whisperwood, everything was touched by a gentle magic. The leaves glowed faintly with silver light, and the moss beneath your feet felt like the softest velvet. Little fireflies floated like golden dreams through the branches, and the air always smelled of lavender and warm honey. Every night, the forest would fall into a peaceful slumber, but not before telling a bedtime tale of its own. In a clearing wrapped in ivy and moonlight, there lived a small fox named Theo. Theo had russet red fur and eyes like polished amber, and each evening, he padded quietly through the trees to make sure all his forest friends were tucked in. First, he stopped by the glimmering pond, where Luna the owl perched above the water, already dozing with her head tucked under her wing. "Good night, Luna," whispered Theo. "Good night, Theo," she murmured sleepily. Then he walked beneath the glowing mushrooms where the mice had made hammocks of spider silk between the roots. They were already snuggled together, tiny paws twitching in their dreams. Theo smiled. Everyone was peaceful. Everything was still. But tonight, something soft and sparkling drifted down from the sky. It was a star. Not a bright, fiery star, but a little one, no bigger than a snowflake. It landed gently on Theo's nose and twinkled quietly. "What are you doing here?" Theo whispered. The star gave no answer, but it glimmered as if it were smiling. Theo followed it as it floated through the trees. It drifted past the whispering willows, over the snoring badger's den, and finally came to rest in the center of the forest, where the great tree grew. A tree older than time itself, with bark like silver and leaves that shimmered in all seasons. The star nestled into the branches of the great tree and vanished with a warm sigh, like it had found its way home. And from the heart of the tree, a soft hum began, a lullaby that only the forest could hear. One by one, the stars in the sky flickered in rhythm, and the whole of Whisperwood seemed to sigh together, like a sleepy child pulling up the covers. Theo curled up beneath the great tree, the moss wrapping around him like a blanket. His eyes grew heavy. "Good night, little fox," the forest whispered. And Theo dreamed of glowing stars, silver trees, and quiet songs floating through the wind. Just like you will now. The next night, a mist rolled through Whisperwood like a soft white blanket. It wasn't cold, nor heavy, just a cool, silvery breath that kissed the treetops and made the dew on the grass shimmer like tiny diamonds. Theo the fox awoke beneath the great tree, stretching quietly, his tail curled around his nose. The forest still hummed its nighttime song, but there was something new in the air. A faint glow shone between the ferns, a path that hadn't been there the night before. It was made of soft velvet moss, stitched together with tiny glowing stones. It wound gently into the deeper part of the forest, where Theo had never gone. He tilted his head. The path didn't call him. It invited him. Kindly. Sleepily. So, Theo began to follow it, his paws making no sound as they touched the moss. As he walked, the trees whispered goodnight, leaning close as if to tuck him in with their branches. Little lights floated around him, not fireflies this time, but drifting puffs of light that giggled softly and danced like snowflakes. The path led to a glade Theo had never seen. At the center was a pool of water as smooth as glass, with stars reflected on its surface, even though there were no stars above. The water glowed with soft moonlight, and on its edge stood a creature Theo had only heard about in whispers. A dream elk. Its antlers were wide and woven with vines, lanterns, and hanging pearls of light. Its fur shimmered like fog, and its eyes were closed, but Theo could feel it watching him in the gentlest way. The elk didn't speak. It didn't need to. It dipped its head and touched the surface of the pool, and images bloomed across the water, memories, dreams, quiet moments of peace from every animal in the forest. Theo saw Luna the owl dreaming of flying above the stars. He saw the mice curled in tiny teacup beds. He saw himself, curled beneath the great tree, safe and warm. The dream elk nodded once. "This is the dream of the forest," said a voice like the wind through reeds. "And you are its keeper now, little fox." Theo blinked. His ears flicked forward. He didn't know what that meant, but he felt calm. Ready. As though some part of him had always known. The dream elk turned and walked silently into the mist. The velvet path behind Theo faded, gently, like a closing book. And as he returned to his bed beneath the great tree, Theo carried the dream with him, soft, glowing, and wrapped in the hush of Whisperwood. The night after his visit to the dream elk, Theo woke to the scent of peaches and roses on the breeze. He stretched and blinked up at the stars. Then he followed the sweet smell through the forest, across sleepy hills and over gentle brooks, until he reached an orchard made entirely of dream fruit. The trees here were not like other trees. Their trunks were pale as moonbeams, their leaves soft as sighs. Each tree bore a different fruit, glowing faintly: dream apples, slumber peaches, whisperberries. A tiny voice piped up from one of the branches. "You're just in time," said a drowsy squirrel with a hat made of flower petals. "The moon fruit are ready to fall." Theo looked up. The moon fruit were the rarest of all. Only falling once a year, during the quietest part of the night. They held stories inside them, entire dreams for anyone who caught them. As he watched, one began to loosen, glowing silver and blue. It wobbled gently on the branch, then began to fall. Theo caught it in his paws. The fruit pulsed with a gentle hum, and as he held it close, it whispered a dream into his heart. A snowy hill, a sleigh made of starlight, the sound of laughter from animals wrapped in scarves, hot tea served in acorn cups. Theo smiled softly. He would remember this dream, and maybe, one day, he would live it. He tucked the fruit beside him as he lay beneath one of the orchard trees. The leaves rustled like pages turning, and the stars above blinked in a slow, sleepy rhythm. The orchard began to hum a lullaby, and Theo, with the moon fruit beside him, drifted back into gentle sleep. One evening, not long after his journey to the orchard, Theo awoke to the sound of pages turning. Not loudly, but softly, like the brushing of wings. It was a windless night. The stars were tucked in behind thick clouds, and the only light came from a gentle glow beneath the forest floor. Curious, Theo followed the sound, his paws silent as always. He passed beneath weeping willows and over sleepy moss, until he reached a hollow in the roots of an ancient cedar. There, carved into the earth, was a staircase made of stone and light. It spiraled gently down, as if carved by time itself. At the bottom, he found it. The Midnight Library. Books floated in the air like leaves on the breeze. Scrolls unrolled and rolled themselves again, whispering forgotten lullabies. The shelves were made of driftwood and clouds, and the entire space smelled like ink, starlight, and old rain. A rabbit with round spectacles sat at a floating desk, writing slowly with a quill made of a feather from a dream bird. "Ah," said the rabbit without looking up. "Theo the fox. We've been expecting you." "Me?" Theo asked, though his voice barely rose above a whisper. The rabbit nodded. "Every dream has its keeper. Every night has its story. And here, in the library, we collect the ones that are too gentle to be remembered by morning." Theo wandered slowly through the stacks. He passed titles like The Day the Rain Fell Up, The Hedgehog's Pillow Collection, and Stars That Sleep in Puddles. Each book hummed softly as he walked by, like it knew him. At the very back of the library was a shelf with his name on it. Theo, Keeper of Whisperwood. There was only one book on the shelf for now. Its cover was soft as velvet, and its pages glowed faintly with fox prints. As he opened it, the pages whispered back the stories he had lived so far: the glowing path, the dream elk, the orchard. "You may write your dreams here," the rabbit said gently. "So others may one day dream them, too." Theo nodded slowly and curled up right there beneath the shelf, his tail around his paws. Tonight, the library would write his dreams for him. And above, in the sleeping forest, the wind turned one final page before the night exhaled into stillness. The next night, Theo awoke to the softest sound, not quite rain, not quite music. It was like tiny bells falling onto feathers. He opened his eyes. Above him, the sky was weeping stars. Not sadly. Just quietly. A dream rain. Each drop that fell shimmered with light and left behind a little memory in its puddle, a bunny's laugh, a lost song, the feeling of warm fur beside a fire. Theo stepped out from the great tree and lifted his face to the rain. It didn't make him wet. Instead, it filled him with warmth and soft memories. A tiny drop landed on his nose, and he saw a dream, himself, older, walking through Whisperwood with small fox kits at his side, their tails bouncing as they asked questions about the forest. Theo smiled. The rain was gentle, and the ground sparkled like stardust wherever it touched. He found Luna the owl sitting on a low branch with her wings spread wide, catching drops in her feathers. "They say the dream rain only comes when the forest is truly at peace," she murmured. Theo sat beside her. "It's beautiful," he said. "It's your doing, little fox. Since you became keeper, the forest has been dreaming better." Theo felt a warmth in his chest, not hot, just calm. Like tea after a long walk. As the rain continued to fall, the forest hushed into one great breath of peace. And Theo, nestled beneath the sleepy trees, closed his eyes and dreamed of soft skies, silver puddles, and the echo of joy in the stillness.